And if the clerk could take the roll, please.
Commissioner Look.
Here.
Commissioner Brassad.
Here.
Commissioner Kordiak. Commissioner Silveraja.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
First item is tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Kordiak. Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is review of checks issued from Finance and Central Services and from Human Services. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Then we have approval of the minutes from our April 25th County Board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Carries. We have 4 items today under Chair's remarks. The first item, we are honored to have Judge Bethany Fountain Lindbergh with us again to give us a follow-up report. And let's see, I do see her there. Okay, a follow-up report on Anoka County Law Day 2017, which happened on April 28th at the Government Center in the courthouse. And the goal of the event was to make it easier for people to navigate the court system and provide general information about our justice system. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we're excited to hear the information you have to share about what happened that day.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That was a very busy day down in the atrium and all throughout the courthouse and the government center. If you remember last year, we served approximately 200 people in terms of individual legal advice from attorneys that volunteered. This year, that number increased 25%, and we had legal advice clinics running through about 250 people. In addition, though, to those 250 people who actually sought legal advice, there were criminal cases running in 3 different courtrooms, including driver's license issues, gross misdemeanors, misdemeanors. And of those cases, we cleaned up 220 criminal files, which was amazing. And we had those judges in the courtroom working hard until about 4:15, even though the event ended at 3 o'clock. So that was very well attended. High attendance at family law clinics, high attendance at expungement clinics, and at the DMV, the driver's license clinic, again, saw very high numbers. And even though we had 2 full-time staff persons this year, still had some lines, people waiting to see those folks and figure out how to get their driver's license back. So that was very rewarding in terms of helping and assisting those folks. In addition, we had about 160 people that attended the presentations that were presented by the sheriff and by the county attorney, the treatment court specialty, and others. We had the canine unit and the forensic. We had about 160 people go through there, including Girl Scout troops and some homeschool people and some members of the general public. So that was very well attended. In addition, we had 70 students show up to run through the educational track, which included this mock trial. And I think the best summary of how their experience was when the kids asked, when can we come back? Can we come back again soon? They loved it. Talked about how it helped define their career choices moving forward, that they understood about government. And by the way, Commissioner Silveraja, they loved the fact that you took time out of your day to come and meet them and talk to them. That was a highlight for them. Their quotes are so interesting. They had Tri-County Labs there, and of course they wanted more dead things and more bones. And so that was a lively conversation. It was really fun. I actually learned. Can you make it longer next year? The mock trial was amazing. That same day after the students left at about 1:30 or 2 to get back to their schools, 2 of the students returned back to the courthouse and asked how they could volunteer their time over the summer because they were so amazed by their experience and wanted to learn more. Some comments from the general public, very worthwhile and helpful to those who can't afford legal fees and lawyers. The legal system is complicated, but with services like these, it makes it easier to understand and navigate. Thank you. This was an emotional day, and expertise from attorneys was appreciated. We had one gentleman come through the criminal cleanup clinic who had almost 1,000 days of sobriety, had been released from prison, was back in the community, had a job, and with the help of Jenny Walker Jasper, who was the judge that day, was able to sort through all of his cases that had gone into default misdemeanor cases while he was in prison, resolve those, clear up over $8,000 worth of fines, help him enter into a manageable payment plan. He left with his driver's license with tears in his eyes saying, I never thought I would get my license back in my entire life. So those kind of experiences made the day very rewarding for the students, for people who came for services, for people who came for tours, and for presentations from the leaders. I thank everyone for their efforts. It was a fun day, but it was well worth it. So that's where we are. If you have any questions, or I do have a summary that's about 7 pages that I certainly could provide that talks about a better breakdown of the numbers and more comments from surveys.
Well, thank you so much. It was certainly an honor to be able to kick off the event that day, and it was also fun to see so many young people that were so excited to really learn more about how our system really works. And definitely, I think you had a significant impact on their future career choices. They were already saying, oh, I think I might be interested in being a lawyer, or, you know, as you said, there were many of them that were very interested in how they might be able to do an internship or come back and really get some additional hands-on experience. So fun to see the interest there, and we really appreciate your leadership and appreciate the partnership as well, and look forward to what you have planned for Law Day 2018.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our second item under Chair's remarks today is the annual report from the Anoka County Medical Examiner, Dr. Quinn Strobel. Our Midwest Medical Examiner's Office performs death investigations and autopsy and provides education and consultation to up to 21 counties. So, Dr. Strobel.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Our office administrator, Gary Alberts, is here, and he just wanted me to mention that we're the appointed ME for 21 counties, and we also serve as a referral forensic pathology services for about 12 more counties in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and we also are contracted with hospitals to do their autopsies as well. So we're pretty busy, which I think shows on this next first slide here. Our total cases for all of the counties that we cover obviously has increased greatly over the years as we have incorporated more counties. And Anoka County itself is in red, the box. You could see how there's also a steady increase in total cases there. Our total autopsy numbers have also greatly increased over the years, as you can see, from 442 in 2011 to 816 last year. For Anoka County last year, we performed 175 autopsies. And just going to give a brief breakdown of those cases. So 48 of the autopsies we performed were classified as natural deaths, and the majority, as expected, were attributed to cardiovascular disease. There were 27 motor vehicle related deaths last year, 24 actual fatalities. 3 deaths were delayed complications of injuries sustained years ago for 3 people. But of those 24 fatalities in 2016, there were 4 pedestrians, 2 who were struck by motor vehicles and 2 struck by a train. Alcohol was present in 3 incidents, and methamphetamine was present in 1. And you can see, compared to 2015, there was a significant increase in the motor vehicle fatalities. It's the most we've ever seen. Of the non-motor vehicle accidents, there were 97. Again, there's a significant increase. We performed 52 autopsies in those cases, The average age was about 43 years. The decedents ranged in age from 23 days to 87 years. There were 3 infants who died due to unsafe sleeping conditions. The deaths were classified as the majority were drugs, alcohol, and substance abuse, 38 incidents. Of those, I have the incidents of certain substances detected listed below. Obviously, if you do the math, it doesn't equal the total number of cases because frequently there's multiple substances in one individual. We had 12 case. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was just
jump
going to
in.
interrupt and say,
Yes,
I'm not
please.
seeing it. Thank you. We weren't seeing the slides, so thank
Yes,
you.
I didn't want to jump ahead of my, so there were 41 total substance abuse related deaths, and this is the accidental. These wouldn't be, I don't have the suicides classified in here. And then you can see that 12 were heroin related. There were 11 incidents of other opiates and opioids, hydrocodone, hydromorphone, morphine itself. But notably, there were 2 detected incidents of this unusual opiate that people are ordering from, I think it's China, U47700. It doesn't really even have a name, it's just that number. As well as we detected regular fentanyl, 6 cases in Anoka. We have detected those other synthetic fentanyls, the carfentanil, the furanol fentanyl, some goofy fentanyls in other counties. We haven't seen them yet. But in those cases, we really have to chase those drugs because they're so potent. The levels are so minuscule that, essentially the lab tells us that, carfentanil is there in this person, but it's so low due to their accreditation, they can't even report it out. So it's quite a challenge to work with, but we work with one of the best toxicology labs in this. Most of the medical examiner's offices use the Hennepin County toxicology lab, and so we're all kind of continually working and growing to try to catch these drugs. And then moving on, there were 4 deaths classified as homicide. In 2016, the decedents ranged in age, very extreme, 24 months to 95 years. So that was just a very, very tragic year last year. There were also 48 deaths classified as suicide. The decedents ranged in age from 14 to 83. And of those 4 were teenagers. Alcohol was present in 12 of those cases. The majority of the deaths, but not by, just a little bit more than half, were due to gunshot wounds. And ligature hanging was a close second. Of the undetermined cases, which means that after a full autopsy, scene investigation, et cetera, an evaluation of circumstances, the manner of death was not considered more likely than not. It was another infant who passed away while co-sleeping. A 22-year-old male who died of undetermined causes, may be one of those cases where there's a substance that we just can't find. And then a pedestrian automobile incident of a 35-year-old male. Lastly, there were 2 incidents where someone found some bones and they were deemed non-human, which is good. And then lastly, 1,286 cremations were approved. And we contacted the Minnesota Department of Health, and they counted 1,780 total deaths in Anoka County last year, and so it looks like 72% of people are choosing cremation. So 72% of the deaths were cremation. That was a question I kept getting asked in other counties, and I didn't have the answer, so I was ready for you guys. So, if anyone has any questions for me?
Anyone have any questions?
A lot of information to throw at you, sorry.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you so much. You do just an amazing job for us, and we are so fortunate to have you really, your expertise. You are able to provide the information in a very clear manner and provides really those answers for families as well. And so just appreciate, again, your professionalism and the great work that you and your team do
Thank
at
you.
the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I wanted to thank you too because of the work that you do, and you keep the privacy of the people that you work with. And we had a very big event about a year ago that the whole team, the whole department, the whole team just did a fantastic job because you were inundated, from what I understand. And yet it was done professionally and nothing really leaked out and there was no big controversies. So obviously you take your job very, very seriously and do a fantastic job. So thank you for, and thank
you.
everybody else.
Yeah, we have a great team. We really pulled together. It was an amazing, we didn't have any preparation, in our job. We typically don't. And so it was just an amazing, everybody was on board and present and there. And we had such support from law enforcement as well, who were there for us to keep our office safe and everything. It was great. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Madam Chair, if I can, and our office has worked quite closely and very well with the medical examiner's office, but I certainly do appreciate the fact that even though they are a county department, they are completely independent, and they maintain their status as independent scientists whose credibility is often greatly enhanced by virtue of that fact. So I just appreciate the work that Dr. Strobel and all her staff do to help the criminal justice system. Just my hat's off to you. Great work.
Right. Thank you again so much.
Thank you. See you next year.
Our next item under Chair's remarks is the opportunity to recognize the outstanding work of people who have some of the most difficult positions in public service. In 2016, there were nearly 208,000 calls for service to the sheriff's deputies and police officers in Anoka County. I'd like Commissioner Brastad to lead our recognition of our law enforcement officers.
Thank you, Commissioner Sivaraja. Unless you've done it, it's hard to know and understand the demanding and dangerous nature of law enforcement officers. Police officers, sheriff deputies, they wear a uniform with honor, dedication, and integrity. These men and women provide a vital public service in Anoka County. Often, they are the first people we turn to in moments of danger and desperation. For that, we are very grateful. I'd like to ask Sheriff James Stewart to join us and say a few words. Sheriff?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioners. First of all, thank you for the resolution you'll be bringing today and for recognizing our protectors today. In our line of work, we get to see regularly, certainly with the partnership with Dr. Strobel and her amazing team, but across the board, we get to see how precious life is every single day and how quickly it can disappear from us. And sadly, we also see around our country every single day as our protectors are attacked and even killed as they protect and serve our families. In recent years, the national trend has been to attack and demoralize our protectors rather than embrace the bigger picture or recognize root problems. I can tell you that I've met protectors from all across our nation and can say confidently that they remain men and women of integrity and courage and willingly sacrifice their weekends, their holidays, their family time, their lifestyles, and even their own personal safety on our behalf. In the Anoka County Sheriff's Office, our mission statement is to protect and serve the community in a manner that preserves the public trust. We greatly value that trust, and I'm fortunate to have inherited an office where the pursuit of professionalism and excellence has been ingrained in us and is always included embracing that public trust. We really cherish the opportunity to serve as ambassadors in our community. And I'm grateful for the hearts of our servants, and I thank you for recognizing them today. We've created another opportunity for us to recognize our protectors, and specifically those Anoka County law enforcement officers who have given their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice while serving us. On Wednesday, May 17th at noon, there will be a law enforcement memorial event held in the atrium at the Anoka County Government Center. And I invite each of you, as well as our public, to join us at this event and come together to say we will remember their sacrifice. And I will close with a quick call to unity. In the Sheriff's Office, we have a motto, working together for positive change. I'm happy to say that I think we've all come together as a team and have embraced what it looks like to work together for positive change, and I thank you for that partnership. Today, I pray that our nation will heal and come together and invest into our collective futures rather than causing further division that our grandchildren will all have to live with. We all want what is best for our future, and it is only by working together that we can arrive safely at the finish line. Our protectors are not the enemy. In fact, they are the only thing remaining between us and the enemy. So I thank you again for the resolution recognizing their service and allowing me to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Stewart, and all the men and women in Anoka County law enforcement. You are crucial to the public safety of our community. Madam Chair, I would like to offer Resolution 2017-51, resolution in support and appreciation of law enforcement in Anoka County, and I ask that my fellow commissioners join me in support.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Does anyone have any other comments at all?
Madam Chair, I would just like to comment that law enforcement, whether it's the county sheriff or the police departments in our county, do one heck of a job in some really tough situations. It's all been said many times, but I want to urge the public to remember, just because you repost something on Facebook or like something or share something, that isn't really what supporting police departments and sheriffs is about. Supporting law enforcement is your daily activity, your daily attitude, and your comments to friends and family about law enforcement. Be positive, be respectful, and that's exactly how you'll be treated by law enforcement.
Any other comments? If not, thank you, Commissioner Brassad and Commissioner Schulte. I'd like to invite, again, everyone, just a reminder, the Law Enforcement Memorial to honor and remember law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty in Anoka County. The memorial, again, is Wednesday, May 17th at noon in the Government Center atrium. And if you've never been there, is truly a very moving ceremony. So again, would encourage and invite you to attend. Our final item today is to recognize the amazing success of the Blue Bike Challenge team. This competition is put on by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota, and it's a way to promote health and raise money for a charity of our choosing. Last Wednesday, our team of 7 Anoka County employees pedaled stationary bikes for a total of, they totally surpassed what they did last year, 469 miles. Absolutely incredible. That averages out to about 67 miles per biker in 5.5 hours and put us third amongst 9 teams. Absolutely incredible. So I think they deserve a round of applause. They did this last year, and they actually came back to do it again this year. That's what's even more amazing. But in the social media engagement competition, our community really rallied. We took first place with 1,038 posts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And second place actually came in at like 579, so we crushed them. So it earned us $2,500 for our charity, Family Promise in Anoka County. And I'd like to invite our team bike leader, Corey Camp, to introduce his team and tell us more about the event. Corey?
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Yes, it was a great event. This is my second year of doing it, and yes, we do come back. You are a little sore afterwards, but let me start out by introducing the bike team. These guys rocked it. They worked very hard. I mean, it's a grueling event, but it's well worth it in the end. So I'm going to ask them to come up behind me, and I'll call their names. Start with Joel Johnson from Human Services, working in long-term support services. And I got Lori Johnson, also working in social services. We got Bill Keller from Finance and Central Services. We have Mike McFadden from Economic Assistance. Right. We got Brian Padani from the Sheriff's Office. And finally, Michelle Reed, also from Social Services. So this is your team this year. What I wanted to kind of point out is, yes, it's a grueling event. Yes, we ended up third. We made it through pedals falling off, and we had pedal clips falling off on us, and we had to do that. In fact, we even had one of our bikes changed out on us in the second session because of things that weren't quite working right. But you know what? you work through it as best you can, and I do want to take a moment to thank all those that supported us, because as Commissioner Silveraja said, the social media was what brought us over the top, and I've got to give a special shout out to Eric Thorsman, Communications Director, for helping us put this out there, and Pat Robinson from Finance and Central Services, and she's here. Pat organized the smoothie bike event and just was probably our top cheerleader, getting everybody possible to get out there and tweet and Facebook, and she even opened up 5 Twitter accounts on the day. Okay, for people who had never done this before. So yeah, myself, I opened up a Twitter account, so I was able to do it right from and I'd never done that before, so I was doing it right from the bike. In fact, David Fry was using my phone doing some tweeting when he was visiting us, and it was very great to see him visiting us. But definitely the support from you, the commissioners, the support from all the departments. I think they were all posting. People were posting on the Facebook pages of Anoka County as well as their own accounts and stuff, and that was great. And all the staff and community support that came out from this. I think I saw Twitters from different companies. I think the Hamlink Chamber was in there. I think I noticed that, as well as all the departments. I know the Family Promise community was out there in force posting too. So that just makes it a great event, and I think, I do need to thank the Anoka County Employees Club. I believe they provided the ingredients for the smoothie bike that helped with that event. And of course, our county attorney was down there riding, trying to support us there. We appreciate him as well as many other people. So appreciate all that. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it back over to you, Commissioner Silveraja, to introduce our Family Promise.
Great. We were sorry to miss out on the smoothie bike thing. So next year, we will have to make sure to get that on our calendars ahead of time. Some of us had a meeting already scheduled with another executive director from a local nonprofit, and we got our lunch, and we literally stopped and said, okay, everybody go on and tweet in support of the Blue Bike Challenge. So normally, of course, that would be rude at lunch, but we all stopped, and it was nice to see the community really rally, so appreciate that. As I mentioned before, we chose Family Promise in Anoka County as our charity for the Blue Bike Challenge. Joining us today is David Fry, Executive Director, to tell us about the work that they do to help homeless families in Anoka County. David, welcome.
Commissioners, Madam Chair, thanks for giving us the opportunity to be a part of this event. It was really exciting to go down there in the morning and see all the excitement going on. I think that it was really appropriate, though, for our organization that it was the community support that really won this prize, because Family Promise in Anoka County is really a community response to the problem of homelessness, and to see the community come out in that way was such a beautiful thing for us as an organization. We've been around since 2010, using local congregations to provide the overnight accommodations and the meals for families that are experiencing homelessness, and helping families move from homelessness to housing independence in that time. This has been a great opportunity for us to expand our social media reach as well, as we're in the middle of also trying to grow as an organization. Besides helping families move from homelessness to housing independence, we're also working on a project now that will actually put families into homes of their own that they will own. And so that's a very exciting thing for us. It's a great timing to be able to do this with the county, with all the departments from all over the parts of the work that the county has done to be a part of that support. And also to know that so many of you are involved with congregations or in other ways to support us as an organization, either as volunteers or financially. We appreciate all of that. Family Promise, 80% of the work that we do is done by volunteers. It is, as I said, a community response to homelessness. And it's when a community comes together in these ways that we see special things happen. And we saw that with this Blue Bike Challenge. So that we felt that fit really well with our mission and our goal of being a part of this community and helping the community to move forward. So thank you again very much for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, David, for all the work that you do. And on behalf of Anoka County, we would officially like to present you the $2,500 check. And thank you again to our amazing Blue Bike team. You rock. Now we will move on to committee reports, beginning with Transportation Committee report. Commissioner Schulte.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our committee did meet on Monday, May 1st, here in the Government Center at 9 o'clock. And we have 3 items for your consideration this morning in the Highway Division. The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of additional right-of-way for the realignment of County State Aid Highway 54, otherwise known as West Freeway Drive, located in the city of Columbus.
And I'll offer the resolution. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item.
Secondly, the committee recommends approval of a lease agreement with Outdoor Display Incorporated for the purpose of operating and maintaining the existing outdoor advertising structure, otherwise known as a billboard, located on county-owned property at 1500 Northdale Boulevard in the city of Coon Rapids.
Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item.
Lastly, the committee recommends approval to enter into a joint powers agreement with the city of Anoka for the reconstruction of the signal at 7th Avenue and Grant Street in Anoka.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
I will just comment that this is a project that's been done for quite some time, and this is just finishing up the paperwork and getting the joint powers agreement signed with the city.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye. Motion carries.
And Madam Chair, there's a number of informational items. Those of you that attend some of our transportation meetings know that when we're done with the actual action items, that's when the meeting really starts, and we go into hours of talking about informational items. So study those when you get a chance. That does not conclude my report, because I'm going to move on to my chair's report now, if that's appropriate.
Yes.
We have one action item for you there, and that is I would recommend the award of a contract to North Valley Incorporated in the amount of $7,802,516.41 for our county-wide overlay program.
Okay. Motion to approve?
I would move that.
And been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
Commissioner.
actually have a question for Mr. Fisher, and probably for your edification as well. We only received 2 bids, favorable nonetheless, but just 2 bids, and I'm curious if we have an inkling as to why that might be. Mr. Fisher.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Schulte, County Board members, my name is Doug Fisher. I'm Transportation Division Manager and County Engineer. Actually, that was quite a surprise for me, because especially this time of year, when people are trying to load up on work early in the season, we would expect to get, at least a half dozen bids. Not quite sure why this was in this case, but again, like Commissioner Schulte, you mentioned, they were very good bids. They're below our estimate, and the difference between the 2 bids was less than 1% difference in bids. So that tells me that they both had very sharp pencils, and our plans and specs were very clear for them that they were bidding the same project. So we're hopeful that as the construction season continues and we have more biddings coming out, it'll still be favorable. Just takes one, but I am a little concerned at this time of year, especially, that we didn't get more bids at this time. So if I do find out any particular reason, I will inform the county board.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
And just as a follow-up, I I think there's a lot of projects. I think there's still a lot of action in the road building industry all across the state, and I think it's only going to ramp up as more and more dollars become available, either through the state legislature or through the federal programs. So for that reason, it's something that we should keep our eye on, make sure that we at least get 2 qualified bidders and reasonable prices. But I don't know that we have a lot of control over that, other than making sure that we are easy to deal with, making sure that when a contractor comes here to bid, they know that in the end, they're getting paid and there's not a lot of hoops to jump through. So as long as we're doing that, I think that's all the control we have. With that, it does conclude my report, Madam Chair.
Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move on to Information Technology Committee report. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before Doug leaves, I just wanted to make the comment that I noticed on on my Comcast television, if I'm watching something on demand and I pause it for a while, it goes to an odd screen with nice writing and beautiful pictures on it. But up in the right-hand corner, because of where I live, it tells me that there's a road closure on Anoka County
116.
116, yeah, of Bunker Lake Boulevard. So I'm assuming that we're doing that, and maybe it's coming from a different area of Anoka County, and somebody's putting that out there, but it's right on the television, and it's kind of a nice feature. If you get to that screen, you'll see, hey, that road's closed, so
Right.
thank you for that.
Well,
Not sure who's doing it.
Commissioner, thank you for mentioning that. I'm sure our folks in our Public Information Office are always on top of that, as well as everything else. But we do try to essentially flood the media markets. We do individual mailings, Twitter, anything we can to get out the notice, because especially Bunker Lake Boulevard, where there are going to be a lot of traffic staging changes, and so it is kind of a week by week thing. So we are trying to be exhaustive in our notification of that. So thank you for
It's
noticing
good
that.
to see that we're
and,
using any possible communication we can
Exactly.
find. So,
We are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the Information Technology Committee met on May 1st. We don't have any action items, but we did have a number of informational items, because the technology, IT here in the county is working diligently on a number of different projects. One of them, that we did approve a purchase in the amount of $65,353.92 with Kodelsky Security. I'm not sure how they pronounce it exactly. For the purchase of replacement of the county's load balancers. And if anybody has any questions about load balancers, the professional expert is here to answer that if you want to know what it is. Susan, if you want to just give us a quick update on the load balancers.
I certainly can, Madam Chair, Commissioner Gamache, members of the county board. My name is Susan Vreeland. I'm the Director of Information Technology. Over the last 6 or 7 years, we've seen, as you've heard before, an enormous increase in traffic applications and systems. We've implemented the load balancer technology at that time to basically, it's kind of like what Mr. Fisher does to manage his highway traffic. The load balancers manage all of that system traffic across close to 50 county locations. Those load balancers are in action 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They've never let us down. They've really done a good job, but they're kind of on their own flat tires now. They're at the end of their life. We worked really diligently with purchasing to go out, find the best replacement, using a very similar technology, and now putting that into place to continue the management of all that data across all of our county locations.
Thank you, Susan. We also had some discussion about a new application that we've put in place for the child abuse online application that can actually be used by someone online with their computers, all the way down to their phones, if they're reporting any kind of child abuse that's going on. We now have an application available for that. We also discussed the 2016 annual report, and I'm sure Susan can get a copy if anybody wants to look at it in detail. And of course, we couldn't have a meeting without talking about the unified communication system, which is moving along nicely, even though we found some issues with the library. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that. But they worked right through it on their security, I believe it was. But I'll let Susan wrap that up.
We did, that is correct. So commissioners, we're up to about a little under 400 users right now migrated to the new phone and unified communications system. We do run into challenges in some areas such as the library that have things like red phones and special analog lines for alarm systems, things that can't go away that we always need to keep in place. So we need to make sure we work around those very carefully. We work to have those phones up and running by about 8 o'clock. We ran about 45 minutes behind. Maggie Snow and her team were really accommodating, worked with us well to make sure that happens. But we, of course, on the technology side, kind of do the panic with the watch. So we have had a couple little hiccups like that, but for the most part, it's been pretty seamless. We're getting ready to migrate Blaine Human Services next week. That's a little under 400 users. So that's our biggest all-at-once group to migrate so far. And then the week after that, we'll be looking at the government center. So our goal is to have all 2,000 users migrated by late summer. I'm pushing to make that as early in the late summer as possible, but we're hoping to wrap that up pretty quickly and get on to the next big project. So we're very excited. Appreciate the board's support on this. It's a big transition for our users, but we're having a lot of fun with it. And the network team is doing that while they still do what I call their day job. So I'm very pleased with the work they're doing.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
And that's my report.
Thank you. And appreciate the great explanation. Susan's able to take very complicated things and explain it in a way that all of us can understand. So really appreciate that. That's helpful. We'll move on to Parks and Community Service Committee report. Commissioner Kordiak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see Jeff Perry stepping forward, and he always embellishes the conversation for some of these topical items, so I seek his assistance. Item number 1 is regarding enter into a cooperative agreement with Great River Greening to work with us on behalf of projects that we would like to roll out in the Rum River Central Regional Park System, as well as the adjoining Cedar Creek Conservation Area. I think it's really got to do with vegetation that they're looking at, both removing and planting, and maybe, Jeff, you can kind of clarify what we're doing there. We've done a lot there and improved the area a lot, so what are we doing today?
Madam Chair, members of the board, good morning. My name is Jeff Perry, Park Planning and Resources Manager for Anoka County. This is a grant opportunity for a very beneficial conservation project at Rum River Central Regional Park and the Cedar Creek Conservation Area. Essentially, it'll manage over 500 acres of invasive species that currently exist in primarily the woodland and the oak savanna habitats across these two park units. So essentially, crews will be dispatched to remove buckthorn, Siberian elm, Tatarian honeysuckle, etc. Get those invasive species out of there, do some replanting with native oaks and native fruit-bearing shrubs to enhance wildlife habitat on both of those particular park units.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 2, Anoka County would like to consider amending a license agreement with the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad for the purpose of adding 2 additional temporary ground monitoring wells at roughly the vicinity of the Mississippi West Regional Park. I'm going to recall, and Jeff, maybe you can refresh my memory, but we really addressed a very similar proposal about a month or so ago on 2 other wells, as I recall. We're now today considering 2 additional wells that we'd like to have them amended. Obviously, the PCA is working with Burlington Northern to seek their response to a plume that happened some decades ago, and I guess they do not impede the park system, so I don't know that we have a problem with that. And the committee found it acceptable, and I'm guessing that we might move in that direction. As we consider this, Jeff, can I ask this question? I'm remembering that we talked about 5 wells. We talked about temporary wells. Please talk about 2 temporary wells. Do you remember that conversation? I couldn't lose track of the 5 and the 2 temporary wells.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner Kordiak, this proposed amendment is to install up to 5 temporary wells. The last amendment that came before the board was in February of 2017, and that was for 2 permanent monitoring wells. Since then, the MPCA, who oversees this project, has determined that there's not a need to put the permanent wells in. These temporary wells are drilled and the water sample is withdrawn and then backfilled the same day. So this is far less invasive as opposed to installing the permanent wells. So on the monitor, the red square rectangular area is the proposed area where up to 5 additional temporary monitoring wells will be installed. And again, as Commissioner Kordiak alluded to, there's no impact to park use or the recent Riverdale Extension project that came before the board last month. So very low-level invasive temporary well installation project here. And it essentially is monitoring the contaminated groundwater plume that's north of this area.
Jeff, recognizing your clarification, should the language really of the motion be to install up to 5?
That is correct.
When more accurately, that's what I think the discussion at the committee meeting was. If I can, Madam Chair, I'd like to suggest that language be to install up to 5 additional temporary ground wells, and I would move that item.
Madam Chair, I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded, and question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. From serving on the Ramsey City Council, I recall this incident, this derailment, and I also recall that they had done a cleanup on this, but I'm gathering, based on this discussion, that the cleanup wasn't all-inclusive, we might say.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, that is correct. The derailment actually occurred in 1963. It was powdered lead arsenate, and it occurred on the railroad tracks you can see to the north on the image. And it was immediately mitigated and cleaned up at that point in time. And then with ongoing monitoring, the PCA has indicated to the railroad that conditions are stable in terms of the contamination, but just as a precautionary measure, they're continuing to monitor south of the actual contamination site to ensure that it's not migrating further to the south.
But Madam Chair, as you're aware, Jeff, they haven't cleaned it up as of yet, more recently here within the last 10 years?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Look, to my knowledge, I don't believe that they have. At least in terms of the any activity in the park. They may have on private property or railroad right-of-way, they may have conducted some activities that the county, is not aware of at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner Kordiak.
Aye.
Commissioner Silveraja.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Motion carries.